minutes.
Sure. Um, All right, we'll go back and take another vote on the minutes, just so it's on the recording and the official minutes. Why don't we repeat the process here with the
I move-
motions?
I move that we approve the minutes from August 18th, 2021.
I seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing no comments, all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. Okay, and the treasurer's report, our expenditures of $45.92 stand for the year's expenditures from the current budget. So now to all business, the main business is the deep grant application status, and Kathy and Carol will hold forth on the progress or where they are on that issue. Thank you.
We've made good progress on writing the narrative part and collecting the letters of support. Still working on the purchase and sales, and Carol's working on that pretty extensively. Also, we just learned that DEEP has extended the application timeline to October 31st. So now we have an additional month before the application is due. And we were told, I did query Amy Patterson over at Connecticut, CLCC.
Yeah.
And she said that the reason that they extended it was twofold. One was because people were commenting they were having difficulty getting the appraisers to do the appraisals on properties because of the realty market. And also the DEEP hasn't come out with their scoring sheet yet. And so they wanted to be able to give people ample time to review that before they put their application in.
And there's been some progress on the purchase and sales agreement, but I would appreciate a motion that would authorize Kathy to work with me if we feel it's necessary to advise the first select and the attorney on any concerns that we have about what's been drafted to date or as things move forward.
Okay.
I've said that only Kathy and I would be representing the commission in this with relation to the purchase and sales. So I think we need a motion in order to confirm that.
Okay, so we want a motion that Kathy and Carol be authorized to
As
represent
representatives of the CC.
represent the commission to advise first select person and the town attorney in crafting the purchase and sales agreement.
Yeah, with regard to the purchase and sales. Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion on, well, we'll make that, someone want to make that motion then, or that's what it is? You
Carol,
making that motion then, Carol?
I would prefer that someone else make that motion.
Yeah,
I did request today that to see a draft when it was available, and it showed up 25 minutes later. But they were asking for if we had any comments. So I think that basically I said in that email that I would be sharing it only with Kathy because she has so much experience with the grant process and what's going on. And basically the two of us are crafting the application.
Okay, then would someone like to make that motion that Kathy Demers and Carol Jordan be authorized to represent the commission to advise the first selectman and the town attorney with regards to the purchase and sales agreement?
I'll move.
Thank you. A second on that? Marilyn?
I'll
is that your
second.
hand? Okay, thanks.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? I think that's reasonable. We all don't need to have our hands in the pot, and too many cooks will not likely make it a very tasty dinner, so I would agree with that. Any other discussion, comments? Okay, then, all in favor of the motion as just read, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, good. You guys have it.
Aren't we lucky?
Yes and no,
Right,
yes and
Kathy?
no, I guess. Okay, great. So, any other comments or where we are on that, Carol, at this point? I guess you were in a closed session with Board of Selectmen the other day. I know you can't reveal what's necessarily going on in there, but anything before that or after that that you could enlighten us with or about?
Not specifically with that. Basically, in open session, all they did was to authorize the first selectman to negotiate the purchase and sales agreement.
Okay,
Other than that, I can't really comment. I've been starting to try and get some of the financial documents that we need, and you know, as we're going along, trying to accumulate the supporting documents as well as letters of support. So that and I've done about 1.5 pages to Kathy's 18 or something.
You've done a lot, Carol.
But yeah, things are starting to fall in place. It's sort of a mixed blessing because we know that the timing is of concern to the Talmadge family, but it also, quite frankly, comes as a big help in because it's a lot of pressure to get things done in a timely way, and you know, rushing to do things doesn't always come out the best result. So pleased to be able to take a breath and maybe take an occasional day off now and then without feeling
Yeah.
guilty.
well, good. Please do that. Yeah, I think you deserve time off there anyway. It's not supposed to be a full-time job, but
I think one other thing I'd like to suggest, and commission can consider this, is because putting the document together and getting it to Deep by next month, when we should be able to do that without any problem. But in terms of having everybody on the commission review the grant application, what I'd like to suggest, if the commission is okay with it, is if Carol, myself, and Peter basically review it before it gets sent out, you know, have our eyes on it, make all the corrections and any edits and so on, rather than try to send it out to everybody. So that's just a suggestion.
yeah, it's likely to come out about how many pages?
Well, with all the appendices and so on, it's going to probably be 30 pages.
Okay.
Easily.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think we can leave it in the hands of the experts, quote unquote.
I don't know if they're experts.
I don't know that I've never claimed to be an expert. So
But the semi-informed.
I agree with Bob. I trust the knowledge and expertise and precision. And I have no doubts that it'll be a great document, complete and full.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we need to take a vote on that, but I think that's, you know, something maybe. That I don't see any problem with just doing that as an informal way, and appreciate your support. Although it's somewhat self-serving, because now you don't have to read the 30-page document.
Well, a lot of this, was done in the past for the Talmadge and the Knowlton grant applications. We have a pretty good model to go by. And so, we're pretty comfortable and confident we can, put together an appropriate application.
Yes. And I almost forgot to thank Jackie for all the work she's been doing on maps.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. Sorry. Yes.
Big
thank
plus, and we really appreciate having her skills. And there's somebody with some expertise for sure.
Yeah.
So-
Do have an expert. Yeah, thank you, Jackie. That's
Yep, no
great.
problem.
All right then, so the thing is moving along and we'll hope we get it done, which I'm sure we will if it's almost done at this point, so.
Well, I wouldn't say almost done, but well, it certainly will make it a lot easier to, and I would hope, I can't speak for Kathy, but I personally think with this way, we would be able to submit it, we hope, much earlier than October, than waiting till the last minute and breathlessly waiting for the last document to come in, so.
Sure, yeah. Okay, properties management, Fenton Ruby Park, Drobny, Conwood Management Plan. Kathy had, as I think she indicated in emails that everybody got sent out, said that she'd sent our comments and edits that we'd like tweaked on the report back to Peter Lesmiris, if that's how you pronounce his name, I forgot. And he sent a draft back, I guess, but maybe Kathy, I think, said that there's maybe a couple things still missing.
Yeah, he did the bulk of the changes that we asked for, things like making several of the maps larger, and then there was some typos that needed fixing. There was some things about the mapping for where the photos were in the document and then where he located them on the photo map, those kinds of things. I went through it with a fine-tooth comb, besides what the comments that you guys had given as well. There was also a quote from Natural Resource Consultants that was a little awkward, and he did fix all of those. But when he sent it back to me and I reviewed all the comments that we had made and sent to him, when he had made a few changes, there were a couple things that got left out, like in the index, the table of contents. There were some things missing. So I did email him back and asked him to change those last week, and he emailed back saying he was on vacation. He could not make the final changes until September 20th when he was back in the office, but his intentions were to do so. So consequently, what I'd like to suggest, I'd like to move that we accept the Conwood Forest Management Plan for Fenton Ruby Park and Drobny Sanctuary with the recommended changes, and we can just kind of get that off our agenda, and also kind of authorized to send them their final payment. I trust he will make those very few small corrections.
And then again, because of the change in deadline, that's a little bit less important. I was going to take the bill in tomorrow, so we'll go on a bill listing on the 20th, so we could have a clean report on how much money was left in Park and Rec to submit with the grant application, where we have some wiggle room yet, so I can hold off and not submit that, because I think it'll probably be after the first bill listing in October before we submit the application. So I'd be in favor of submitting the bill as soon as Kathy is comfortable that the changes have been made or will be.
Okay. Anyone else
So-
have comments on that, or about us giving approval tonight, with a couple small tweaks pending that we trust will be done?
I think that's reasonable.
And then we can go ahead and authorize the payment. And what's the balance on the payment we're gonna owe on that?
2,500. It was the whole price was 4,500, right, Kathy? And we paid 1,000 on deposit and 1,000 upon receipt of the draft. So we owe the balance of 2,500. And but I thought it will be helpful for the grant application just to be able to present a net figure that's accurate on what remains in that fund, as we'll be
Yeah, thank-
citing that as a potential source of funding for park maintenance things in the grant application.
Sure, have an unencumbered balance there that we can
Right.
hold up.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks.
that makes sense to me too. So we'll need a motion then that that the commission accept the Fenton Ruby Drobny Sanctuary Conwood Management Plan. I'll fill in the title there. As edited and or maybe with on the basis of completing a few more edits at this point. So in other words, generally accept the document.
They're all
And-
minor changes, aren't they, Kathy?
Oh, very minor.
And might as well include in that motion then authorize the payment of the $2,500 balance owed on the fee from Conwood.
So moved.
Second, please.
I'll second that.
Who was that?
Kathy.
Kathy, thank you. Any discussion? Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, motion generally being that to approve the document pending a couple small edits and also approving payment of the $2,500 balance for the document. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you. And thank you, Kathy, for perusing that document and looking for the stuff hidden under the rocks that needed tweaking. One of that was making some of the maps larger, I believe.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so that got,
Yeah, for the stands. Mhm.
all right, yeah, thank you. Okay, then where are we? Maintenance in Fenton Ruby. I guess since we met last, the bridge that was repaired by Bob and Chris Demers and Kathy the repaired bridge took a little trip downstream. And fortunately with the foresight of let's not lose the bridge this time somewhere in the pond. It was tethered to a tree, so it didn't go very far. So I guess Chris went out there and single-handedly plugged it back in where it belonged.
Yeah, that'll need a more permanent repair, I think, sometime this fall for future storms. It's gonna keep,
Yeah.
being pushed out. We'll have to raise it up.
I guess. Yeah, and figure out some more secure piers in some fashion or other. So we'll have to put our heads together out there and see what kind of a structure we can make to hold it in place. Roll some bigger rocks or concrete or drive some poles in the ground or something. But
Yeah,
I still,
it's difficult there because the ledge comes out of the bank and it goes
Oh.
right underneath. It's the base of the stream right there.
okay.
So kind of doesn't allow us to drive anything in.
Yeah.
And
So,
we still have that aluminum ladder if that would come in handy.
Yeah, I'm thinking though that the aluminum ladder could be used to advantage on the missing bridge on the Talmadge Trail probably, because that's a longer span.
Hmm.
And that one is missing.
Missing in action, yeah, somewhere downstream, but that was always in doubt how long that was gonna last anyway, because it was really a saggy bridge there, but somehow it would still hold up. It still held up, so it's a little premature to lose it, but I guess so. The ladder may be good on that. If we can scare up another one, maybe by sometime early fall, we can maybe do that there. Otherwise, I guess we just pile some rocks up and try to build a pier, just a mass of rocks maybe. And,
Given the amount of rain we've had and the heavy storms and the heaviest of the rain not even coming in association with the hurricanes particularly, I guess we can consider ourselves fairly lucky that things are worse than they are. I've never seen the pond so high. We were out there a couple of weeks ago and after one of the rains, and the Fenton was running really high right through the pond, and it's kind of interesting to see. I've never seen it like that before.
Yeah, wow. So, and the beavers are probably happy having a lot more water, but give them some more work to build the dam higher. But anyway, all right. So that's the main thing in Fenton Ruby Drobny, I guess. Is that one bridge at this point, Kathy?
Yeah, no, there's just one other item for Fenton Ruby Park. I think we forgot maybe Bob to mention this last time when we were walking back from that bridge site along the Taylor Trail. As you're looking at the pond where the kind of the skinny part of the pond where the stream kind of comes in from the roadside, there's Phragmites growing in there now. And it's a small patch, and we should probably try to get at that before it gets too large. But I really don't think that the Conservation Commission should be doing that kind of work. I think we're going to have to look at hiring somebody to go in there, because they're going to need to use a product, probably something like Rodeo. You have to be licensed to use it in wetlands. It's Roundup with it's a different formulation so that it's not as hazardous to animals in wetland areas. So that's not something we're going to be able to do. So we need to think about how we're going to manage that. Probably have to expend some funds. So.
Yeah, my suggestion for treating that small area is not foliar application, chopping the tops of those off. We take care of the seeds that way, and then mixing the herbicide and injecting it into the hollow stem this time of year. Anything that's put into the stem at this point is being translocated down for storage for the winter. And I think because Phragmites, depending on how many seedlings it started out with, they're all connected, especially a small group like that. You haven't got really old rhizomes or stems under there. And with application through the stem, I think you should get a pretty good reliable kill on that small grouping.
But I think we're going to have somebody licensed to treat it do that, because it's in a wetland. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have my license any longer. Otherwise, I could do that.
Okay. Do you know of someone that's licensed in the area, Bob?
Boy, I would probably contact Yukon Extension and see who's around. Specialty licenses are kind of pricey. I don't know who would have a license. Either that, or you might ask the foresters. they may have an idea. Jackie, any idea?
I don't really know anyone around here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's a
know that-
it's a specialty license, really.
Well, I know that Mansfield and Coventry have had joined together to treat stuff down by the dam in the Mansfield Depot. Maybe they might know of somebody who does that kind of thing. And Coventry has had treatment done at their pond, their lake too. So maybe checking around with some other towns might they might be able to point us in the direction of somebody that could do that.
I've seen demonstrations, that one of the, either Cackaway or LTCC conferences where they treated actually quite large areas by doing that. And what is it? There's a large preserve out in Western Connecticut somewhere. I forget the name. It's got the name White in it, I think.
Oh, yeah. We've been there, but I can't remember the exact one. It's a really white, yeah, it's a very nice preserve.
Yeah, I believe it was there that they demonstrated treating a fairly large area. I don't know if as much as an acre or not of Phragmites, but they went through, waded in there, cut the tops off, as Bob said, and then what they had was a bucket with a sponge, and they dipped the sponge in the magic potion and kind of dabbed the top of all the stalks. And I guess they did bring that under control pretty well.
Yeah, I've had some pretty good luck by taking a syringe
Mhm.
and injecting the liquid a small amount of liquid right into each stem.
Okay, yeah,
And it leaves a better reservoir that continues. The issue there is you can't, sometimes people want to mix it up stronger, and you can't do that because then it burns the internal structure of the stem. So you've got to mix it up as recommended so that it doesn't do its damage until it gets down into the root system.
okay. Oh, that's interesting.
So we need to find someone that's licensed and they'll know how to treat it, I imagine.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. Does anybody want to, would anybody be willing to kind of do a little bit of investigation, maybe call Mansfield, Coventry, land use departments, just find out maybe who they might be using?
You want to tackle that this fall too, along with everything else?
Bob, would you be able, is that something you could do?
Yeah, I can, let me stop down to the Mansfield Town Office Building and I'll check with the parks people there, see if I can get any information from them.
Yeah, we may be able to, push costs involved here onto the town rather than our limited budgets. So we have to look
Yeah.
into that. We make our case for controlling that before it takes over the pond, and maybe do a little education session on Phragmites for those that think those 10 and 12-foot stalks waving in the breeze are very, very pretty. They are, but they're destructive.
Yeah,
Well, they
Okay.
could potentially fill in the whole pond area.
Oh,
you know,
sure,
down the
right.
edges, Yeah.
And if you get up close and look at the base of those and standing in water, I mean, there's no room in there for much of anything else in terms of aquatic life to, whether it's fauna or flora to grow or survive in that root jungle.
So today is September, and we're talking about probably getting some information and maybe trying to make a decision in October. Is that going to be too late to treat them? Would we have to wait?
probably best before a frost,
Mhm.
I would imagine. I don't know exactly all the ins and outs of that, but just like anything else, I think you want to get that applied before it starts turning really cold.
Would you be willing, if you get some names, to call contractors and find out what approximately they might charge and when they would suggest that we have that done, and would they be available, late October, early November to do that?
Yeah, let me check it out. Like I say, I'll start with their Parks and Rec, and I'll kind of go from there. Mansfield and Coventry.
Well, the
Uh,
only
yeah.
way we get it done this year is if we had enough money left in our own budget to do that, because otherwise we're gonna have to go and ask for a town meeting, right, Carol, for Park and Rec funds?
I guess, yeah, for Park and Rec, we'd have to go to a town meeting, and I don't know that that's gonna work because they've been trying to, consolidate town meeting stuff, and I don't know what else there is to come up. But we've got 1,450 plus left in our budget, so, and if it's a fairly small parcel, then I don't know how big Stan, you're describing, but if it's fairly small.
It's probably, I'm gonna guess 100, 200 stems at the most. What do you think, Bob? We didn't go right up close, but
No, there's probably a lot less large ones. We didn't get up there to see how many small ones. I think usually what you see, most all of those stems are usually large.
would you be willing to kind of take another look at it, maybe count, just get a general idea, maybe see the area before you talk to the contractors, take a picture, maybe some.
Yeah, I can do that. That area is probably, I don't know, 10, 12 feet long. It's looks to be a strip, small strip.
So if we were to approve funding at our October meeting, Bob, would that probably be early enough?
I don't know, depending on what depending what the contractor's schedules are like, and it's not a big job. I mean, this is a very, very small patch, quote unquote, right now.
But as far as the timing goes, our next meeting's October 20th. Would that be early enough, probably, to get the work done at the appropriate time?
Well, it depends on what their timeline is and what they feel it works the best for eradication.
Well, worst case, we could probably do a special meeting by Zoom if we needed to, if the cost fell within a range that would be acceptable within our operating budget, then maybe we could, we might be able to take care of that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll start and get some information.
Yeah, again, I think, that could be something we could palm off on a town. I know the town is not awash in extra money, but it should be in the best interest of the town in general, not just through us as the Conservation Commission to control that stuff. So whether Public Works can scare up a few bucks or some reserve account, we can make an argument for that. I would think the extension, state extension service at UConn would have some information on this. If not, I would think they're quite remiss, but in which
I
case,
can-
yeah, we
Peter, I
just gotta-
I can stop down the office, down in the bottom of the Hicks building
Yeah.
and see what I can scare out there.
I mean,
Okay.
if we're
So
gonna get it- Go ahead.
basically, we have Hawkeye, Kathy to thank for identifying those plants.
Spotting that, yeah.
Thank you, Hawkeye.
No, my concern is if we don't do something in the next month or two, we're gonna lose that window and have to wait till next fall. Peter, I like your idea maybe of trying to find other funds, but the problem is we'd have to go to the Board of Finance and possibly beyond that to get any other funds. So if it's gonna be several $100s to treat the patch, my suggestion would be to maybe call a special meeting quickly once Bob's got some information, make a decision, and if it looks like we can get it done in October, just use some of our funds.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying we shouldn't use ours, but depending on how much it is, we can certainly use ours if we don't have any other immediate demand or we aren't replacing a ton of other bridges. Yeah. Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
think if nothing else this year, Peter, we can get in there and cut those seed heads off before they loosen up and start ejecting more seeds into
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
swamp.
sure. Right. yeah.
Right. I mean, that's another thing that we can do
Oh.
to help remediate that.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, if we don't, we can cut those down. I would think, but even if we don't get to something this fall in terms of chemical eradication, that we can keep them under control next year by cutting them down in any case.
Right.
I don't know if it would be better to cut them early as they start growing, or if you were gonna treat the stems, whether you'd want them in full growth when you cut them off and then inject them right in the fall rather than have semi-dead stems there if you've cut them down in, early summer or something. But
Yeah,
anyway,
they have a tendency to regrow. If you look on the sides of the road, when they mow them down, those things regrow within a month.
yeah, well, like the Japanese knotweed too, just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, nature will make sure we've always got something to think about to try to fix out there, I guess. All right. Where does that take us? Anything else spent Ruby Drobny? All right, Knowlton Preserve Talmadge Track Maintenance says, aforementioned, we did lose a bridge on the Talmadge. I don't know how the other bridges are. I guess not hearing any comments on the bridge that's just below Mason Road by about 150 feet there. That maybe is still in place.
Yeah, everything else was intact when
Yeah.
Chris and I walked.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, good. So that's okay. Town development. Anything jumping that anyone knows about is they still cutting trees, or they put the backhoe in the ground out there at Love's yet?
They're working on the bottom part of the slope. Multiple things. It looks like they're kind of leveling out an area for where the wall is gonna go. And of course, you drive by, it's hard to see what's going on.
Sure.
It looks like they're putting in one of their basins, the one that's closest to the highway. And they've moved an awful lot of dirt around. I'll have to say that.
Oh, really? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
The only other thing insofar as development, there's going to be a building lot subdivision on Hancock Road. For those of us who frequent the transfer station, that small house on the right-hand side as you get down close to the curve.
Oh, yeah.
That house has a 5-acre lot, and they're going to, they've come to PZC for a subdivision. Because it's already been subdivided, we are looking at a fee in lieu of for the open space fund. Discussion last time, the PZC met centered around open space, what would be available there, and it was decided that a 5-acre piece, it's nothing there. So the decision was that, and the engineer that's doing the development was in favor of that also, for fee in lieu of. He, in the process of doing his work there, will get a fair value of what the lot is. And then that, all we have to do, once we get that, PZC will vote on it, and that money, I guess it's 10% of what the value of the property is, will be going to the open space fund for fee in lieu of.
Yeah, that's as each lot is developed, the money is paid into the open space fund.
Right.
Now, the developer builder has to agree to that.
Oh, he does. He's on board with that.
Okay, yeah, just the town can't make someone do that.
No.
They have to agree, yeah, just as
and-
a clarification, yeah.
Yeah, when he came to us, he still had several questions, and one of it was open space. And he said, you know, I'm more than happy to work with you, and I understand that we have the option of fee in lieu of. And so the commission bantered that back back and forth a little bit. And it was decided that, yes, that would be the best option. And that's how we're moving forward. And like I say, the developer has no problems with that whatsoever.
Good, okay.
Won't be a lot of money, so don't get your hopes up.
Well, no, it's not gonna be a ton of money, you know. But,
It's
there-
better than a quarter acre lot that's not. really
Oh,
for those open
yeah.
space.
Yeah,
We're
we had,
designating as open space something that couldn't be built on anyway, or something of that sort, so yeah. That's,
yeah,
but there
So-
goes our scenic rural ride to the swap shed now, more houses.
yeah, I'll tell you.
I don't know if anybody watched the selectmen's meeting, but they were talking about doing paving parts of Mason Road from Daleville Road, 600 feet north from Daleville School and down 1,500 feet, I think it is, basically to the border of the Knowlton property, where the Blue Trail crosses.
They're talking about putting it in the CIP plan. Is that how you understood it, Carol?
I don't know about that. The prices they were quoting didn't seem to me like they would be adequate to do anything really significant, because if you put down a proper base and all that kind of stuff, well, they were talking $867 or something for the 600 feet from to the north of Daleville School. It was rather low estimates of because apparently what happened is that in one of the storms, that none of the people, the homeowners who live in the houses to the east of Mason Road, south of Daleville School, were able to get out of their driveways. So it was a public safety issue.
So a little bit north of Daleville School and some south of Daleville School?
Yeah. That's just want to bring that up because it is in the area of the park, of our open space properties.
So it'd be paved from Daleville School all the way up to where the Knowlton property starts. So it's
That's
about
correct.
Yeah, that's what they were
1,600
talking.
feet. Yep, and then 600 feet from Daleville going north on Mason Road, which would go down to where the culvert is that washed out.
Mhm.
Uh,
So it sounds as if minimal and, just minimal to avoid the same kind of damage happening over again. And they think they can adjust it without doing a major replacement of the existing culvert.
Yeah, okay. Anything else on jumping in town? Okay, collaborative organization, news and communication. I haven't heard anything. Nobody's contacted me. We did get a letter of support from Joshua's Trust for the grant, so collaboration from them in terms of the grant application. Any other, I see Kathy's hand, yes.
I just have a question. Carol, maybe you can let us know. CLCC, did we pay a membership already for this
I
year?
haven't seen a bill. So
Okay.
I was just gonna say, maybe I should, I haven't seen anything from them and I have no idea what's going on with Cackaway. I can check with, I'll check with Mike D'Amato on the, because the Cackaway usually is a joint payment based on a 2 commission fee. And I haven't seen any, there's been nothing, no mail of interest in the box when I've checked it. But it occurred to me also, CLCC was the one that first alerted us to the change of deadline on the grant. So that's, they're really good about being supportive of us. So I will follow up on Cackaway and CCC both to see if they should be billed. Just make sure we don't do it at the same time, because they both have offices in DeCoven House, and the new town's new software combined the checks for the two organizations into a single check and sent them both to DeCoven House, and they both went to CLCC, and it took us a while to get that sorted out. So maybe I'll put them in separate bill listings if in fact they come in.
Yeah, okay. So our two guests are scratching their heads and wondering what a Cackaway is and what a CLCC is. Cackaway is what, the Connecticut
Connecticut
Association?
Association of Inland Wetlands and Conservation Commissions.
Okay, and CLCC is,
Connecticut Land
That's-
Conservation Council.
all right, thank you. Okay, and we're memberships in both of those, and they send out newsletters and they put on conferences that occasionally some of us attend, so it's good stuff. They field the legal representation for various environmental issues in the state, so we contribute some of our budget money to membership in both of those. And the inland wetlands, as was kind of alluded to here, we share our membership with them, and so each of their members gets a newsletter, and we do too. And CLCC, I'm not sure whether they put out a regular newsletter on that basis, but not regularity, but they set out information and represent conservation, protection, environmental issues. Okay. Any other old business? New business, communications. Only thing, I got a note just today, which means it arrived in the Tallinn Post Office to be forwarded here about 2 weeks ago, which is anywhere from a week to 2 weeks before they forward mail down our way. But it's from Tammy Nuccio. She addressed it to both Judy and myself, because our names are on the emails that we sent out, that we communicated. Said, please excuse the tardiness of this thank you note. I apologize for the delay. I wanted to reach out to thank you both for the opportunity to help out on the trails. They were here on our trail work day. Nora was there on that, so she knows that too. Fenton Ruby is a beautiful park, and I appreciate all the care you put into it. It was a pleasure to meet you both, and thank you so much for the refreshments, Marilyn. Whatever. And hope you are all well. Sincerely, Tammy Nuccio. So. Any other new business? Yes, Kathy.
Oh, again, just thinking ahead, last year, Carol, maybe you can help to remind us, when does CIP normally have their requests? What's the deadline?
The request for CIP always comes at Christmas. It's a Christmas present to everybody to have to get their CIP requests in. Last year's was dated December 28th.
Okay, so I thought maybe we could start to brainstorm a little bit more, whether or not we want to, what we want to put in for open space requests, but also the other thing I think we need to think about as a commission is having more money put aside for maintenance of our open space parcels. I mean, and we're getting to a point, and maybe Peter, I'm just going to mention, you've already let the commission know that you've decided that you're going to be leaving the area next year, and you're probably not, going to be on, obviously wouldn't be on the commission, and you do so much work for the commission as well. So I'm a little worried going forward about our ability to do maintenance on our open space properties. And I think we should be requesting some money so that we can hire people to do some of the hard work that we've been doing for many years now. We do have volunteers that are great and they help, but it's just not going to be enough going forward to sustain the open space, so that it's open for safe public recreation.
I think the thing is that the maintenance issues would probably have to be addressed mostly through increased requests through the budget process. Unless you have, because capital CIP stuff is only things that are $10,000 or more. And one of the things that it's in the draft, at least, of the application is we have to show how we're going to maintain it. And we'll have, I think, sufficient funds in the Park and Recreation Fund to do a review of the Talmadge and Knowlton parcels. And I've said if we acquire the additional parcel, we would ask for a plan as a separate stand within the Talmadge and an update of the plans for the other parcels. And we, based on how much this latest plan for Fenton Ruby is. And actually that came at a good time because we can show that we are managing our facilities with professional forestry plans. And that's, I think, a positive and something that they look for. But so the timing works out well. We could say we have to show how we've maintained other lands that we've owned, and we can, the things that we already had, and we can do that well because we could just say we just completed a re-up of our Fenton Ruby plan, and the timing is such that the other plan for Knowlton and Talmadge is 2012 to 22. So probably in 23, we would, when we do a review of that, would be the time that we could add something relating to the new parcel, which it shouldn't be a terribly large cost because it's a fairly smart, it's a small parcel. And but I think we would have enough in Park and Rec to do that.
Carol, I just have a question. So we're going to have to redo the Knowlton and the Talmadge Forest Management Plan anyway, and we would add on the annex.
That's what I'm suggesting that we would at the same time we're having that plan reviewed and updated, we would have that we would contract for a plan for the new parcel as a separate stand within Talmadge.
How much is going to be left in the Park and Rec Fund after we finish paying for this current fund with?
I think it's going to be about 7,000. I've had so many pieces of paper.
Yeah, no,
floating
that's
around my
okay. I
house.
don't mean.
But I think it's
we won't hold you to it.
it's at least 5.
Okay. So let's say, I mean, redoing that forest management plan could cost us $4,000 or $5,000. So there goes all that money. And that's why I'm thinking we just need to start thinking ahead. And it's not only for the forest management plans that we need to budget. We also need to budget for people literally to do the work. When those bridges blow out, when we have something that needs repair, when we have more invasive species that need to be addressed, we need funds, and we can't keep, it just is crazy for us to keep going back and begging for money from the Board of Finance to do this.
Yeah, we should put up a big sign that says, are you a Willington resident? Do you want this park to stay open? Because if we don't get if we don't have people come forth to volunteer, we can't maintain the park.
Well, we did that. We did put that sign up and we got a couple of responses and
But we really need.
There's one of them here.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there was one other person, so we got 2 people.
Cool. Yeah,
Okay.
but I agree that, and also that we need to be bringing new people on board the commission while some of us who may not be around forever are still on board to lend whatever wisdom we've acquired.
Well, I did as you know, if you remember, I did attempt to contact the first select woman about arranging a sit down to just get this on the table. But I guess in the springtime, things got busy, things ran out, and so I'll have to engage in that as a starting point, just to see. We've kicked it around here whether how that might be handled in terms of public works, or whether let Parks and Rec assume the management for some of the things that we're doing. So that to be discussed and put on the table and kicked around at sometime in the near future. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and it's something we need to push for. You're right. preserves are getting bigger and we're getting smaller, so.
Yep. One of the other things that came up at the selectmen's meeting that I was sitting through until like they got to the executive session, which was at the very end. They talked a lot about the tree trimming. They've been doing a lot of tree work along the roads, removing a lot of dead trees, and a lot, especially ash, good high proportion of which were ash. So they've been doing a lot of tree work along the road, for road maintenance reasons, as well as so
Right,
it
so
would
there
be-
were a lot of unexpected expenses for not only the
Oh.
storms that we had in July and all of the, they spent over $120,000 just in repairing the roads, buying gravel and so on and so forth. And then the tree trimming is going to cost a lot of money. So, and they're going to continue to have to do that as more and more trees along the roadsides are dying. So there's a lot of things that they're going to be concerned about from a financial viewpoint. I just want to make sure we get in our requests as well.
Well, and I looking back at what we were able to do 2 or 3 years ago, I think if it's a thoughtful plan, and if it's presented in a way that the folks that are reviewing that can understand clearly, I think that they're receptive to helping. And I just think it's has an awful lot to do with clarity when we approach them.
Mhm.
I won't say anything else about that.
Okay. Any other new business then at this point? Okay. So, and again, thanks to those of you that are plugging along on the grant, Kathy, Carol, Jackie, and attending the meetings and trying to move this thing forward. Much appreciated. And, okay, anything else? Going once, going twice? Our next meeting
Well,
then is,
Not yet. I have a fun fact for everyone.
all right. We'll
You
tell
ready?
you what, we'll tell you whether or not it's fun or not, but go ahead.
This is an FYI fun fact. So everybody knows who Jared Sparks is, correct?
Yes,
I'll make that assumption. I've just been informed by the town historian that the town at present owns approximately 15 acres of the old Sparks farm. And a good portion of the Sparks farm, the individuals that own it, the pals, had already looked into conserving that. And somewhere along the line, he up and died before he finished that. His 3 kids are managing the estate. So the old homestead, the foundation and the foundation for the barns may be in a situation where it might be conserved. So that's the fun fact. The town owns 15 acres of the old Jared Sparks' dad's farm. Thank you very much.
Okay.
But what part of that though, Bob? What area of the farm?
Is it about the road?
It does. The 15 acres, of course, we've talked about that. Well, it's 15 acres. On the land records, it shows to be 20. You know, that rectangular piece of land that goes off the old road across from the Crooks that the town took for back taxes in the 30s. That's part of the Sparks farm. And when town historian did his research, in the maps of the 1860s, it shows that that farmstead was owned by the railroad, and they had bought it from the Sparks as a means of somewhere where they could cut wood to fuel the locomotives. But I've spoken to the one Powell brother that's in New Hampshire, Vermont or New Hampshire. And their dad instilled in both of them that that land wasn't to be built on. That land was meant to be left the way it is. And it seems like the brothers had taken that to heart. So it'll be
Where is this,
interesting.
where is this parcel?
Right off of Jared Sparks, off of Jared Sparks Road.
Is it down the
Okay.
hill from Tropita?
You know, it's right across the street from the Hex property. The Hex conservation property runs down that old bridle path that runs through the woods that ends up by Moose Meadow Campground. Well, it's all the land just the opposite side of that old road. That's where the Sparks farm was.
It's
And Mark
opposite-
and Chipita's house is the only portion of it that the Pals don't own. Mark and Chipita own that, and that was part of the Sparks farm as well.
And that's quite a ways though, the Mark and Chipita's house from that old road though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a big piece of property.
Is the town aware that it owns that property?
They will when everybody gets our historical society newsletter.
All right.
If you want to learn more about the Sparks family, you can log on to the Historical Society homepage, and second page, click on, let's see, on the first page, I think it says something about learn more, read more. You get onto the second page and there's a list on the left-hand side of the page. And the information about the Sparks family and the Sparks farm has been posted for about a week and a half on our site.
Ah, very interesting.
That is interesting.
So anyway, that's the fun fact for tonight, guys.
That's great, Bob. Okay,
Thank you.
it's good note to end on. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and I think where the foundation is, Peter, I think you were involved with Joshua's when the Pals were thinking about donating that parcel
Yeah,
to Joshua's.
yeah,
And that's still their mindset, although the dad has passed, you know.
yeah. We took a walk around it. I don't remember all the details, but I know we did go plotting around that. Yeah, there were two separate parcels there. Each brother had one of them, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, yep. Yep.
Does
So-
that abut the Heck easement? Pete?
It's
Well, it's across the old.
it's
dirt
north,
road.
it's north of the Heck easement.
Mhm.
So it abuts it in the sense it's across a dirt,
The
narrow
dirt road. yeah.
pathway.
Dirt road.
Yeah, that's opposite where Cosgrove Road comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're on that corner there. The Heck easement starts on that Cosgrove corner and goes down to that, I forget how far along. Jared Sparks to the old dirt road that angles off and down the hill.
yeah.
The Heck property goes down there, I don't know. 300-400 yards, something like that.
Down Common Road too,
To the bottom of the hill.
and Kravanic.
Yeah.
It comes, if you go straight down Cosgrove, down that old road, you come out on Kravanic Road.
Right, yep.
Okay,
If that's town property, I mean, one of the things we might want to look into, since it sounds like it abuts the Hex easement. It's-
Well, it's across the road from the Heck easement.
I mean, we may want to take a look at it as a commission to see if we might want to recommend that the town also put an easement on its own property.
Mhm.
Because, you know, we've looked into that for other parcels, for example, the one down by the transfer station, when they were going to put the shed on there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a thought.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of possibilities with that, with both of those pieces of land there on Jared Sparks and the Heck estate and the Heck brother that's up in Vermont or New Hampshire.
That's a pretty steep downgrade, both from Jared Sparks and from the dirt road there down into, if I'm remembering right, steep downhill.
Yeah,
And
it's
not level and easily buildable or developable right there anyway.
right. It's pretty rolling.
Yeah, there isn't gonna be a firehouse or a schoolhouse or on that, I don't think, yeah.
Now, further down where it comes back up and meets Jared Sparks, it's pretty straight into that for quite a while. They logged that, I don't know, 10 years ago,
Yeah,
Peter.
right, yeah. Okay, very
So-
interesting. Yeah, thanks. All right, our next meeting then, October 20. Fall is here and it's coming even quicker, the deep fall. Okay, with that, I guess we will adjourn at whatever time it is.
8:14.
8:14. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
On TV.
Thank you for joining to our two guests. And I will at this point stop the recording.